Hey fellow gamers, today we're diving into the world of Immortals of Aveum, covering its review, tips, and update. Before we dive into the heart of this video, we wanted to take a quick moment to ask for your support. If you find the content valuable or entertaining, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel, and ringing that notification bell to stay up to date with our latest gaming content. Alright, let's jump right into the main event. Enjoy the video. Immortals of Aveum Review. Immortals of Aveum is a first-person shooter game that combines magic and technology. Players take on the role of a young warrior named Jack who must fight to save their world from an ancient evil. The game features a variety of weapons and abilities, as well as a large open world to explore. The combat in Immortals of Aveum is fast-paced and fluid. Players can use a variety of weapons, including guns, swords, and magic spells, to take down their enemies. The game also features a variety of abilities that can be used to augment the player's combat prowess. For example, players can use a teleport ability to quickly move around the battlefield, or a shield ability to protect themselves from enemy attacks. The open world in Immortals of Aveum is large and expansive. Players can explore a variety of different environments, including forests, mountains, and deserts. There are also a variety of side quests and activities to complete in the open world. The story in Immortals of Aveum is serviceable, but not particularly memorable. The characters are mostly one-dimensional, and the plot is fairly predictable. However, the game does a good job of setting up the world and the conflict, and there are a few twists and turns along the way. Overall, Immortals of Aveum is a solid first-person shooter game with a unique blend of magic and technology. The combat is fast-paced and fluid, the open world is large and expansive, and the game features a variety of side quests and activities to complete. However, the story is not particularly memorable, and the characters are mostly one-dimensional. Here are some of the pros of Immortals of Aveum. Pros: fast-paced and fluid combat. Large and expansive open world. Variety of weapons and abilities. A few twists and turns in the story. Overall, I would recommend Immortals of Aveum to fans of first-person shooter games and those who are looking for a game with a unique blend of magic and technology. Immortals of Aveum tips. In Immortals of Aveum, you can upgrade your gear at any time. However, it's important to note that upgrading gear is a costly process. You'll need to spend gold and essence, which are two of the game's most valuable resources. Early on in the game, you'll find new gear relatively frequently. This means that you'll likely find better gear than what you have equipped before you have a chance to fully upgrade it. As a result, it's generally not worth upgrading your gear early on. Instead, it's better to save your gold and essence for later in the game, when you're more likely to find gear that you'll want to keep for a long time. Once you reach the later stages of the game, you will also have access to more powerful gear, which will make upgrading your gear more worthwhile. Of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. If you find a piece of gear that you really like and you think you'll be using it for a long time, then it may be worth upgrading it even if you're still early in the game. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide how you want to spend your resources. Here are some additional things to keep in mind when deciding whether or not to upgrade your gear. The type of gear you're upgrading. Some pieces of gear are more important to upgrade than others. For example, weapons and armor are generally more important to upgrade than rings or amulets. Your playstyle. If you're a more aggressive player, then you'll likely want to upgrade your weapons more often than if you're a more defensive player. Your budget. If you're low on gold or essence, then you may want to hold off on upgrading your gear until you have more resources. In Immortals of Aveum, you have a limited inventory space. This means that you can only carry a certain number of items at a time. You can increase your inventory space by upgrading your pouches. There are 3 pouches in Immortals of Aveum: the health pouch, the mana pouch, and the consumable pouch. Each pouch can be upgraded 3 times. Upgrading a pouch increases the number of items that you can carry in that pouch. For example, the default health pouch can carry 3 health crystals. Upgrading the health pouch once will allow you to carry 4 health crystals, upgrading it twice will allow you to carry 5 health crystals, and upgrading it 3 times will allow you to carry 6 health crystals. The same principle applies to the mana pouch and the consumable pouch. Upgrading your pouches is a very important investment. It will allow you to carry more items, which will give you a significant advantage in combat. It will also allow you to carry more consumables, which can be very helpful in tough fights. Here are some additional things to keep in mind when upgrading your pouches. The cost of upgrading pouches increases with each upgrade. You can only upgrade your pouches with gold. You can upgrade your pouches at any time, but it's generally best to do it when you have a surplus of gold. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to upgrade your pouches is up to you. However, by following the tips above, you can make sure that you're getting the most out of your investment. Here are some specific reasons why you should upgrade your pouches in Immortals of Aveum. It will allow you to carry more health and mana crystals, which will give you more survivability in combat. It will allow you to carry more consumables, which can be used to buff your stats, heal yourself, or damage your enemies. It will make it easier to collect resources and complete quests. It will give you a significant advantage over other players in multiplayer mode. In Immortals of Aveum, you can combine your skills to create powerful combos. This can be a very effective way to deal damage to enemies and to stay alive in combat. There are many different ways to combo your skills in Immortals of Aveum. Here are a few examples. Use a crowd control skill to disable an enemy, then follow up with a high damage skill. For example, you could use the lash skill to pull an enemy towards you, then follow up with the breach fire skill to deal a lot of damage. Use a mobility skill to reposition yourself, then follow up with a damage skill. For example, you could use the blink skill to teleport behind an enemy, then follow up with the javelin skill to deal a surprise attack. Use a healing skill to recover your health, then follow up with a damage skill. For example, you could use the meditation skill to heal yourself, then follow up with the maelstrom skill to deal damage to multiple enemies. The possibilities are endless, so experiment with different combinations to find what works best for you. In Immortals of Aveum, there are many objects that glow. Some of these objects are harmless, but others can be dangerous or even deadly. If you see an object glowing, it's always best to shoot it to be safe. Here are some of the things that glow in Immortals of Aveum. Enemies. Many enemies in Immortals of Aveum glow. This is a good indication that they are hostile and should be attacked. Traps. There are also traps in Immortals of Aveum that glow. These traps can be deadly, so it's important to shoot them before they can activate. Loot. Some loot in Immortals of Aveum also glows. This loot is usually more valuable than non-glowing loot, so it's worth shooting to collect it. Secret areas. There are also secret areas in Immortals of Aveum that glow. These areas can contain valuable loot or other secrets, so it's worth shooting them to explore them. So, if you see an object glowing in Immortals of Aveum, it's always best to shoot it to be safe. You never know what it might be. The world of Aveum is a large and expansive place, full of secrets to discover. If you want to get the most out of the game, it's important to explore every nook and cranny. Here are some of the things you can find by exploring. Hidden areas. There are many hidden areas in Immortals of Aveum, such as secret passages, temples, and dungeons. These areas can contain valuable loot, as well as new weapons and abilities. Side quests. There are also many side quests to be found in Immortals of Aveum. These quests can provide you with experience, gold, and other rewards. Cosmetic items. There are also a number of cosmetic items to be found in Immortals of Aveum, such as new skins for your weapons and armor. These items are purely cosmetic, but they can help you customize your character and make them look unique. Lore. The world of Aveum is full of lore, and you can learn more about it by exploring the environment and talking to the characters you meet. So, if you want to get the most out of Immortals of Aveum, it's important to explore every nook and cranny. You never know what you might find. There are many puzzles in Immortals of Aveum. Some of these puzzles are easy to solve, while others can be quite challenging. If you want to make progress in the game, it's important to remember the puzzles you've solved and how you solved them. Here are some reasons why it's important to remember the puzzles in Immortals of Aveum. You may need to solve the same puzzle multiple times. For example, you may need to solve a puzzle to open a door, and then you may need to solve the same puzzle to open a different door later in the game. You may need to solve puzzles in a specific order. For example, you may need to solve one puzzle before you can solve another puzzle. You may need to use the same puzzle-solving technique in multiple puzzles. For example, you may need to use the same elemental ability to solve multiple puzzles. Immortals of Aveum Update. Update 2. This update was released on September 4th, 2023. It addresses various performance issues and bug fixes. It also includes some minor gameplay changes, such as improved loot spawn time and balancing and stat updates. Update 1. This update was released on August 29, 2023. It addresses some broken water visual effects, including reflections and visuals while standing and firing in the water. It also includes safeguards against crashes and progression blockers. It fixed an issue with the interact point on Selco. It fixed an issue where players couldn't reach Alacrity Fane. It also includes performance improvements, including areas where in-world corruption is present. The developers are constantly working on improving Immortals of Aveum, and they have released several updates since the game's release. These updates have addressed a variety of issues, including performance problems, bugs, and gameplay balance. The developers have also added new content to the game, such as new quests, weapons, and abilities. If you are playing Immortals of Aveum, it is important to keep your game up to date with the latest patches. This will ensure that you have the best possible experience and that you are able to enjoy all of the new content that has been added to the game. You can find more information about the latest updates for Immortals of Aveum on the game's official website or on the developer's social media channels. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe.